Grogu, more affectionately known as Baby Yoda, and his introduction at the end of Season 1 Episode 1, established a Mandalorian as a cultural phenomenon.
Everyone is obsessing over Baby Yoda.
Never has a 50-year-old toddler created this much of a stir.
The star of that series is Baby Yoda.
I think it's on everyone's mind. Baby Yoda.
Oh, yeah.
Now 3 seasons in, the character that struck a chord with millions, I argue, could now be holding the series back. Here are the 4 big issues I think Grogu and the show as a whole need to overcome to maintain the great level that the show has already established. Problem 1. No character development. Grogu is 50 years old.
Yes, they're 50 years old.
But his actions come across as that of a baby. His baby-like actions make him incredibly cute and lovable, but it does also mean that his character development is pretty much absent. We are 3 seasons in, and Grogu is still up to his same old tricks, stealing snacks and cuddling up to Mando and his friends. During the same period of time, Din has grown from a bounty hunter to a father, he's made allies all across the galaxy, he's changed his ship, rescued Grogu twice, and obtained the Darksaber. If we look at a side character too, Greef Karga has developed from sitting in a cantina all day handing out bounty pucks to a main ally of Din, and now holds the lofty title of High Magistrate of Navarro. It's not just the characters that have developed whilst Grogu hasn't. Navarro has also advanced, from a poor backwater town to a cosmopolitan planet that rid itself of the Empire. Grogu isn't developing at anywhere near the level of all those who surround him, and he remains as more of a plot device than a fully fleshed out character. We know precious little about little Grogu. We don't know his aims, except from trying to eat everything he comes across, and we don't know his history, except that he was trained at the Jedi Temple years ago. He is an enigma, which yes makes it fun to speculate on his past and future, with questions such as who saved him from the Jedi Temple, or what his first word might be. But it's also good to see a character arc, and unfortunately Grogu has had a non-existent arc up to now. Problem 2. The mishandling of Luke and Grogu. The plot of Mando Season 1 and 2 were to save Grogu from the Empire and deliver him to a Jedi. In the finale of Season 2, this goal is achieved, and Luke Skywalker takes Grogu to be trained as a Jedi. And then at the start of Season 3, Grogu is back with Din again. Now the answer as to what happened to Grogu between Season 2 and 3 is of course in the last few episodes of the Book of Boba Fett. In the Book of Boba Fett, Grogu trained with Luke for a period of time that we are told was around 1 to 2 years, according to Jon Favreau.
It was the end of Season 2 when they said goodbye. We checked in the Book of Boba Fett about a year ago when they parted company again, and then he rejoined the Mandalorian. So now I think somewhere in there, more than 1 and less than, somewhere between 1 and 2, 0 and 2 years.
At the end of his short training with Luke, Grogu was presented with a choice to either train as a Jedi or to be returned to Din Djarin, and Grogu chose the latter. Now this was a very poor story choice, which completely undermines the entirety of Season 2, and Din sacrifices to get Grogu to Luke. It certainly smells of a decision made above Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni's head by one of the bigwigs at Lucasfilm and Disney. It just cannot conceivably have been Favreau's plan to just undo Season 2 by returning Grogu to Din straight away, and not even in The Mandalorian. It was done in a spin-off show, The Book of Boba Fett. As well as what could have been really interesting, with Grogu's Jedi training being rushed, this was such a missed opportunity to develop Grogu as a character. Now a popular theory, in regards to Grogu's development and aging, is that something happened to him between the fall of the Jedi Order and The Mandalorian, that caused either memory loss or regression to Grogu's development. The obvious way to fix this would have been with Grogu's training with Luke, where Luke could have restored Grogu's abilities that Grogu had perhaps hid or lost from his time training as a Jedi at the Jedi Temple all those years ago. And this nearly happened in the Book of Boba Fett. It was so frustratingly close. Luke accessed Grogu's thoughts, and we saw him remember a snippet of Order 66 and clones killing Jedi in the Jedi Temple. Then his memory fades to black as the clones approach him, and we find out no more. During his Jedi training, Grogu learns how to jump like Master Yoda, and that's about it. This was such a missed opportunity, as Grogu could have entered Mando Season 3 or 4 trained, or at least partly trained, as a Jedi. using Yoda's old green lightsaber. Now how brilliant would that have been? He could have remembered or relearned how to speak and express himself, and we could then learn so much more about him. He could have become 50% of a really powerful team of him and Din, the Jedi and the Mandalorian. But instead of this, he's pretty much back in the same place that he's been in from episode 1, in his pod, being protected by Mando. Problem 3. Formulaic, replaying the old hits. The Mandalorian has a signature scene structure with Grogu and Din that is getting overly repetitive. It goes something like this. Din talks to a new character, receives a mission of sorts, and then looks to Grogu whilst he's doing something cheeky or cute. And repeat time and time again. 1 minute of talking and then 20 seconds of a cute Grogu segment. These were great for the first few interactions of season 1, but it becomes more and more formulaic, and it feels like we have to go through the same motions every episode. This process can make the episode feel a bit silly and like we're retreading old ground time and time again. Problem 4. Overshadowing Din. If we're being honest, Din and Grogu's stories sort of demanded that they go separate ways, and as said before, this was undone by the later episodes in the Book of Boba Fett. Grogu training as a Jedi again is a natural next step of his character, leaving Din to dive deeper into the Mandalorian culture and explore the future of Mandalore and potentially to become its leader, as he now has a Darksaber and has a claim to lead the Mandalorian clans. Season 3 was heading this way at first, but spoilers ahead for Season 3 Episode 2, Din has potentially already lost his Darksaber to Bo-Katan, and she seems to be best placed to rule Mandalore again, especially as she saw a Mythosaur at the end of the episode. And the Mythosaur, as the armourer said, forebodes the rising of a new Mandalore, so that therefore hints that Bo-Katan will probably be the leader and not Din. Din and Grogu being reunited again means that Din's agency and progression comes second place to protecting Grogu. And as we know, Moff Gideon was not killed in Season 2, and Dr. Pershing featured in a Season 3 trailer. They are almost guaranteed to come for Grogu again. Din's aims are unable to stretch much further than being Grogu's protector, as Grogu cannot protect himself, and as a powerful Force-sensitive being, he will always be a target. So again, for another season, we will have to curtail Din's natural storyline for the sake of keeping Grogu and Din together. How to fix the Grogu problems. Now, although the ideal opportunity to fix these issues with Grogu was missed in the Book of Boba Fett, there is absolutely another way to fix this. I think the answer to remedying these problems can be found again with Luke and with Master Yoda's words from Empire Strikes Back. Yoda is the only other member of Grogu's species that we have any information about, so he's the only one we can compare to Grogu's development really. Now, Yoda lived to be about 900 years old, and when training Luke in The Empire Strikes Back, he says that he has trained Jedi for over 800 years.
For 800 years have I trained Jedi.
This means that he began training Jedi at the age of 100. So at Grogu's age of 50, you would assume Yoda could speak, use a lightsaber, and talk to a decent level. Yes, even at 900 years old, Yoda never really mastered sentence structure, but that's besides the point.
Excitement. A Jedi craves not these things.
So I would have Luke pondering on Yoda's words and coming back to help Grogu, finishing off the memory recall he started in the Book of Boba Fett. Luke can help Grogu remember and uncloud his memories from his time training in the Jedi Temple. And Luke can refer to his conversation with Yoda from Empire as to why he thinks that Grogu knows and understands more than he is currently showing. Luke can help Grogu fully remember and re-embrace his training. This will fast forward the current toddler stage Grogu is in. It's not perfect, but it's an explainable way to develop Grogu considerably during a small period of time. And then if you'll indulge me, here's where the fanfiction part comes in. After helping Grogu access his full powers, Luke can then quest him to find and make his own lightsaber, and learn the ways of the Jedi with Din supporting him. Luke can then quest Grogu to find and make his own lightsaber, and learn the ways of the Jedi with Din supporting him, and the occasional top-up visit from Luke and maybe even Ahsoka. This would give Grogu agency to find and create his own lightsaber, as well as remedying the mistakes of the old Jedi Order, with Luke allowing healthy attachment to be permitted. This also means we can see more of Luke, which is surely something every Star Wars fan wants to see. Now that's how I try to fix the narrative problems I currently see with little Grogu. With all that being said, he's certainly not a character I dislike, and his cuteness affects me the same way it affects us all. So what do you think? Do you think there are problems with Grogu that need addressing, or do you think he's perfect just the way he is? and what would you like to see him do in Season 3 and beyond? Please let me know in the comments below. We are currently reviewing Mando Season 3 and A Bad Batch Season 2 every week. We are also reviewing the movie Shazam 2, John Wick Chapter 4 and Dungeons & Dragons this month on their release days. It's early days for the channel, so if you enjoyed this video, then subscribing to the channel and liking the video would mean a lot. Thank you, and see you again.